Hello and welcome to another video. So obviously we've done a lot of Shadow pre-Chronogenesis, but this will be the first Shadow Chronogenesis video. So the reason I have picked Shadow is because at the moment it's one of the few decks I've been able to consistently win with. Most of the other decks are still in very early stages and are being refined down as much as I can. Of course, these decks at the moment aren't going to be very refined for at least probably the first week to 5 day-ish period, just because it's going to be hard to really match which cards go where and build out the decks as we go. So this one in particular is of course based on the old previous mid-Shadow, of course has a few new cards in it for the added value. Skull Ring is basically a Chimera, but I would say better. The Necromancy 2 Reanimate 2 is crazy good when comboed with Belinus, Lurching, or even the pretty Peacock. I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce his name because I'm always shocking with that. So any of those combos are really nice. Even if you just get a zombie is actually quite good with Skull Ring. Of course, proccing its own skeleton isn't as great though, so probably avoid that one. Otherwise, yeah, all the early package is pretty much the same. Your draw power mainly relies on the Demon Eater along with the Evolve on the Peacock. It's the only two ways you're really getting much draw power now compared to Soul Conversion. But I found that that's pretty okay, honestly, especially if you get a decent Peacock off. Otherwise, I'm running 2 Fall from Grace, as you'll see in a video as to why I'm running this, because transforming an amulet or a follower, including your own, is just really good value, especially since it adds a little bit of healing to some decks as well, especially when you have Rush. So I mainly use this against the opponents, so big threats, I mean Bahamut, anything other Shadows play, Haven's Wards, great way to get around those so you can go for damage. I just really like Fall from Grace as a card. It may end up being not rotated, but taken out of most rotation decks in the end. But at the moment, I found it serving an okay purpose, and that's what I've really liked. Of course, Necro Assassin, you want to be killing as much of the board as possible now. So Lurching Corpse, Necro Assassin, 2 for 1 basically. Really nice little bit of combo there. Then we can go into, Ceres, pretty standard. I'm running 2 Prince. You could probably run 3, but I'm quite comfortable running 2. Probably don't even need Prince of Catacomb, honestly. I just really like it for its shadow generation and being able to create a more sticky board, especially after, say, Immortal Thane or something. So other than that, I'm running 2 Prince. I like Prince, he's a great card, but I think 3 is a bit clunky when you're running 3 Thane as well, even though he is the only 6-drop slot. But you've got plenty of, your 4 drops and 2 drops to kind of combo as well, so you're not too worried about that 6-slot drop too much. Otherwise, we have Aisha, which is a crazy good Storm card. I was a little skeptical about how good it might have ended up being just because of their late game component to it, but the Necromancy 10 Evolve plus the Storm plus the attack twice really allows you to deal that 10 damage, and if running 2 of these is perfect, I think. I don't think you want 3, I think 3 might clunk it up too much, but 2 is pretty ideal at the moment. I am also running 2 Demon Lord. I would recommend 3, probably drop down to 2 Thanes instead of 3 Thanes, or just change a number somewhere else in the deck so that you can run 3 Demon Lords. I currently only have 2, and because I'm trying to prioritize crafting new cards, I haven't bothered to craft a third Hector. So everything in this deck is pretty normal mid-range stuff. I mean, we've only got what, 1, 2, 3, 4 new cards total in this deck. I suppose you could run a Straddler or whatever, but that's not a very good card, I don't think, so I'd just recommend running Aisha. Pure and simple. And this deck picks off Portal pretty reasonably. It is a little difficult when Portal keeps clearing you, but usually you can outvalue them overall as long as you get, your Thanes and Demon Lords into a reasonable spot early. And other than that, Dragon is a little iffy just because it's Dragon. You can beat them out pretty early, which I like, but if they do end up getting to that, 10 play point section, they're dropping Bahamuts, they're dropping board clears, they're playing their Dreadsea combos, it's going to be a hard time for you to actually beat that. So really enjoy this deck. We'll get right into some games and check it out. Okay, so first up we're playing against Portal. I think we have a couple of Portal matches and a single Haven match, I believe, for this video. So Portal, not too hard to beat with Shadow at the moment. Portal's main issue is that they just run out of value in the end. Like while they'll have infinite value, you're mostly using that value to trade with the board and you can't really hit face effectively. Of course, they do have some okay stuff. I think once the numbers for Portal are sorted out and people get more of the hang of the resonance balancing, that the deck has a lot of potential. It's just in a very, I would say, Schrodinger's state. So it's good, but it's bad at the same time. It has its weaknesses. once it can find a way around those weaknesses, which I reckon it probably will once some of the more experienced players get their hands on it and have some time to build good decks around it, I could definitely see Portal being a threat. So, starting off with the double lurching. Against Portal, it doesn't hurt to play those out. They're not going to effectively trade against them in any real way. And in the early game, Portal doesn't really want to be removing things like this that much. Which, as you see here, not a great idea to try and remove a lurching. For me though, Seraph of the Night is a really good card. I really love that one. Being able to heal and put something on the board, especially against Portal, which are a lot of, 1 health, 2 health followers, where they're not going to easily deal with Seraphs normally. But this happens to be running this card, Gravikinetic Warrior. Don't see that too often at the moment. Since most of Portal cards are all, brand new, lots of people are running pretty random things, so it's hard to really know exactly what you're going to come up against at any one moment. But you can expect that most of the time you're going to be able to deal with things. So prioritizing draw power and trading in the early game against Portal can be pretty important. The less damage Portal can do and the less board they have, the easier it is for you to actually deal with them going into the next few turns. And of course, we have all our shadow stuff, pretty normal standard stuff, which is good. Skeleton Prince, I actually think this card is absolutely perfect for shadow generation and for being pretty good beat sticks. 2-3 and a 3-1 plus 2 1-1s. Those bodies are just really sticky. Makes it really hard for them to be removed. Biofabrication, one of the few cards I'm not that fond of. So, as we see, some of these Portal decks are going to refine down pretty nicely, I think. This one actually looks reasonable. I've messed around with Portal a fair bit in the last 24 hours, but I haven't been able to find anything that I'm really that comfortable with yet. Especially comfortable enough to actually consistently win, with Dragon and Shadow being pretty popular again at this very moment. I believe Blood has some okay games as well, especially Control Blood variants. If you haven't, check out Shadow Nexus's website and stuff as well. You'll find Aya's Control Blood deck, which looks really promising. I haven't been able to test it yet, but I do plan on hopefully being able to play it very soon. Okay, Mystic Artifacts. Pretty stock standard stuff there.
It's so quiet.
So we just pretty much roll as much as we can. Getting the board, building it up, making it hard for everything to be removed in one go. Making sure their board is clear. All of the pretty basic things you want to do against Portal.
The march goes on.
But of course, those resonance effects are something difficult. Because it's very easy to go in and out of resonance as you please, I've noticed, playing as a Portal player.
You might say I'm a genius.
Shadow's actually not too bad. Of course, Icarus. One of the few actual tutors to draw out artifact cards. There isn't many, but that's one of the good ones. So we don't get much. Skeleton Prince, probably the better play. Skull Ring floods the board a little more with skeletons. Also, since we've got 15 shadows, I'm not too worried about the reanimate effect actually going off. And we've got some decent targets for that reanimate effect. And we really just want to be able to deal with our opponent here. Because they are going to start, beating us down with these artifacts repeatedly. So to deal with things here, really need a good way to do it. I was trying to think of one. I thought the Demon Lord was going to be the better play just because I can drop it. I still get to stay at 10, so that means Aisha's actually got some value. I can also remove these 2/4/4 followers, which are really good. And then I can deal 5 to face while setting up for Aisha next turn. Oh, Aisha. Since Portal doesn't really have major aggression on it, to have 2 Radiance would be pretty uncommon on this kind of turn, especially without Desex drawing you more cards. So I wasn't worried about really dying. And of course they dropped the Desex Machina. And Lion, great. Magister Lion, I still like that card. I wish it had a tutor effect on its evolve as well, but unfortunately it doesn't. And perfect lethal with Aisha leaving up that 3-1 was really the one thing you didn't want to do against my deck right now. You should expect 10 damage burst on turn 10 from Shadow pretty commonly now. If you're not expecting that, then you've pretty much lost most of your games. Next up, we're playing against Arsehaven. Arsehaven is another one that I was very interested in building, but unfortunately I lack one of the kind of key cards. The Storm 3-drop, not 3-drop, the Storm follower that's like, what is it, a 3/7, so it deals 7 damage on attack, which is absolutely crazy amounts of damage for a Haven deck to have, especially in a more control-orientated deck. So I'm definitely going to build it, I just need to get a hold of that legendary. If you guys want, you can join my stream. I will be streaming tonight. You can check that out. It'll be about 6, probably actually closer to 7 to 8 hours after this video goes live. I'll be streaming. I'll make sure to put stuff up on Twitter so you guys can check that out if you want to come hang out. Alright, so Haven, of course, Arsehaven. 1/3 is really good just because you can deal 3 damage with it. Skull Ring, though, gets some awesome value with this Belinus on board already. Also, the one problem I've noticed with the Arsehaven is the fact that once the defenses are changed, dealing like your 1 damage off the defense isn't that great. So I'm thinking I want to try and implement a version of Arsehaven where I'm actually healing up my big followers, so that even if they are affected, I can actually boost their attack back up. It's a concept that I'm rolling around in my head a little bit. It's just a matter of making a deck that works. So, Tin Soldier. Don't really want to have to use this Necro Assassin just to get rid of this Tin Soldier, not like this anyway. But thanks to the Skull Ring card, we should be able to get a target for Necro Assassin to proc out next turn. So we get to keep Lurching Corpse on board and get to kill off this 5/4. And luckily, since we also got the Peacock, we can actually use its evolve to activate more draw power, which is something that I really like to do quite often. More draw power I can get, the better in this deck. I'm actually quite happy with how this deck has turned out. I, threw it together myself, put everything in it, used the basic structure of the original mid shadows, and it's turned out quite okay. It's definitely not perfect, but it does the job at the moment in this early week. Ceres of the Night, of course, gets you your healing, gets me the trade. I can then also use the Demon Eater on the Lurching to get rid of this 4/4 without actually having to worry. So we can just set up our board as best we can for this Demon Lord. You'll also notice that a lot of these videos will probably be a bit longer because, well, not unfortunately, but Shadowverse has definitely gone to a more control mid-range sort of orientation for the game. So a lot of the games do go for quite some time. So Beacon of Salvation, it's actually quite a good card, I think, personally. Definitely one, if I pulled it, I would probably give it a go. So we did burn 2 Ceres, that really hurts. I don't really like burning those. Another Thane as well. But we do have plenty in our hand to just flood this board out as much as we want. And with Fall from Grace, we're not too worried about any big threats. So another Summit Temple, aiming for that draw. It's one great thing about those cards. Heavenly Knight. I think Heavenly Knight's great, it's just very easy to counter. If it wasn't so easy to counter, it would be really overpowered, I guess. Like, Fall from Grace here is perfect. Throwing the zombie party just because I can, and just deal damage. Don't have to lose anything, don't really have to worry. Next turn, if we need to drop Demon Lord, we kind of can, so... Quite happy with how that went. Not so lucky. I mean, we've got a 3/7 and a 4/4. Currently in our hand, we don't have any way to actually remove these in an effective manner, per se. But this Lurching Corpse does give us an option, so I do like that. So 50-50 on whether I can get lethal in this turn. Being able to ram the 3/2 into the 7/7 and then ram the followers would have been perfect. Unfortunately though, my luck just wasn't on my side and we ended up hitting the wrong follower. But we set up for an Aisha win next turn anyway, because all we need is the enhance effect. We don't actually need the shadows to win this game from here. And they're forced to remove what's on my board, so as long as they didn't ward up, we were going to have victory. Even if they did ward up, I probably could have just dropped Demon Lord. So 5 damage, straight to face for victory. And the final game for this video, we have another Portalcraft class. These are fairly common at the moment, but they aren't too hard to beat with some of the standard stuff, just because they are so new. Obviously, most people still not quite got the hang of them, which is to be expected. So we have, obviously, our Peacock. I'm just going to call that from now on because Peacock is a great name for it. We have Belinus, which is perfect for a 2-drop. I actually really enjoy playing that on 2 against nearly everything. Also Lurching, another great thing to play against pretty much every deck on turn 2, except probably Dragon, where you want to save it for a little bit of the later game, where you can use it against the Bahamuts. But you do have other options now, so you're not too worried about that as Shadow. So we don't see much in the way of board, I guess. We get to pretty much play what we want, no real concern for what our opponent's going to be playing. Ancient Amplifier, I don't really enjoy that as a portal card. I much prefer running Acceleratium as a portal card, because comboing them with the draw power cards is just crazy. Do decide to throw out the 2-1 just because I'm really not in the mood to deal with anything crazy from Portal. And I know that if I had have held on to that 2-1, I probably wasn't going to be able to do anything with it at this stage of the game. And when I want to push my mid game soon, I'm probably not going to get much advantage out of it, just knowing what Portal has for their evolves. There's just nothing you need to prioritize that you can't remove in another way. So, Zombie Party coming down just because I need something again. And it does give me the evolve on the Peacock again, which draw power, exactly what I need for this hand in particular. And I get to keep my Lurching Corpse up, which is perfect. I love keeping Lurching Corpse up. So there is an Acceleratium. This guy actually gets a fairly decent Portal game going with his deck. Me, not so lucky. So Catacomb, getting some value out of it. I mean, that's going to put us up to 8 shadows already, which is perfect, I think. And I can kind of set up for a Mortal Thane next turn if they don't clear this.
Now the fight begins.
This machine-driven world must end.
But if I do get a nice draw, I might actually be able to set something else up instead. Although I still think Thane probably would have been the better play here, honestly. Just looking at my hand. Yeah, I think I should have played Thane there just to really deal with this a little better. I could have evolved the Thane, rammed it, get a couple of damage in here and there too. I don't know. Both options were pretty good. I just think Thane might have been better. But, I mean, with Acceleratium on the board already, forcing them to have to deal with Thane next turn might actually have been a better option. So, Majesty Lion, still a great card. So we don't have much in the way of lethal here. I know we've got both Aishas, but it's getting those to face that we're going to have fun trying to do. We do have the Thanes, which I think might be enough. Especially since I have got the evolve point, so I can actually remove this ward, which gets it out of my way for next turn if I want to play something big, like dropping my Necro Assassins along with Skull Ring, or just something in general, honestly. Plus, they are forced to remove these followers, which pretty much is going to take up most of their turn. And of course, Portal has quite long turns too, especially when they're trying to balance their resonance and also having their PP, like cheat engine basically. I mean, they're now gaining 3 play points per 1 play point artifact, so they're gaining +2 on every single artifact they're playing here, I believe. Or are they actually gaining plus? They might actually be getting +3. Wow. Either way, that's still crazy because you can just keep playing some awesome stuff. Mystic Ring, that's an interesting one. I guess it's a good way to change your resonance while at the same time making sure that if you are in resonance, you're not going to have to worry about any other cards you're playing. I don't know, that's just, yeah, no, Mystic Ring feels weird because it's not going to change your resonance. Don't know, maybe if you want to keep a card in your deck and you don't want to lose it to the discard on Des X, definitely an interesting play from the Portal player. So I know for a fact that I honestly can't do anything against this board really, so I need to start removing. The unfortunate part is I had to take this risk. I had a 2 in 3 chance of hitting what I needed to hit so that I could use Soul Squasher next turn. Luckily I did. And we got to set up a nice board, which again has to be removed. And next turn we can actually start dropping our Storm followers. So they do get their trades. That's fine with me. They can't actually afford to really leave anything major up here. I mean, to remove everything would be good, but for me, I guess leaving stuff up is just a huge risk for them. So we do get to keep the 1/1 skeleton. Not too shabby. Being able to trade that into that 4/1 there may not have been the best thing to trade because they do get that draw. I probably should have actually hit the other 4/1. But I can use this Storm. I can get 10 damage onto their face, set up for next turn, as long as they're not warding me out next turn or lethaling me, which they could have if they got double Radiant artifacts. They could do it. It's not impossible. Or if they actually had their beast, that would actually be really bad too. Luckily though, it doesn't look like they have it, so they're just filling the board. And I get to go for lethal next turn, which is perfect. Underworld Ruler doing a job, getting that damage in. She makes a great finisher as a 5/4, really enjoy it. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, hit that like button and subscribe. You will find links in the description to this deck and anything else that's important like the Shadow Nexus or my own personal Twitters, Discord, and obviously Patreon and Twitch, which you can all check out. As again, I will be streaming later tonight, so keep an eye out for that. You can have some fun, join in, do whatever. We'll just be taking a chill time. We might even play some Take-Two, play some viewer games, who knows. I want to get back into everything, so hopefully that'll be fun. Also, there is an event going on. If you go to the Shadow Nexus Discord, you will find that we have a release event which has some crazy prizes. That'll also be happening later, which you can actually go and check out there, so make sure to do that. So, I'll see you guys next time. Catch ya.